Before we proceed with the rest of the morning's events, I'd like to introduce a gentleman that I think you've all met. Mr. Casey Price is our Associate Director of Admissions, and he's going to say a few words to you as we begin our time together. Casey?
Thanks, sir. All right, thanks, guys. Welcome. Welcome to Pikeville. Welcome to KEENE. This is kind of the next step on a journey that you've been on for a long time, and so congratulations, first and foremost, for making it to this point in your life and making it to this point in your career. You should be really proud of what you've done this far and where you are. So applause for you for doing that. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. In the packet of information that you've got, there is one form that may be a little bit confusing. Let me see if I've got that right here. And it's the request to prevent disclosure of directory information. So this is the form. Technically, we have the ability through bylaws and through everything that we've got. We have the ability to disclose this information straight out. I like to get reaffirmation to let you know that this is out there, that you can prevent this information, but I like to get reaffirmation so that you know it's there. So on the left-hand side, where it says withhold directory information, just draw an X through that if you are okay with us giving out what we normally give out, press release, things like that. Just draw an X through that side, and you just want to sign the side that says release directory information. That just lets us, you know, in our press releases, give your name and say, hey, this is a first-year student at KEENE. So it's just basic information. It's nothing personal. It's what we can already hand out, but I just want to make sure that we do have your permission on that end. So, you're going to get a lot of information this week, and I want to make sure that you understand you're going to get out of this what you put into it. So, even though attendance is mandatory, stay engaged. Stay here with us, and we'll have some sessions that are going to be a little bit slow, a little bit, you know, you've got to know the information, but it's going to help you out in the long run. I know our library services information is one of the ones that you come in and you kind of learn all the different ways that you can do research while you're here. So just like your previous undergrad and just like what you're going to get in your KEENE experience, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So stay engaged, stay here, and I just want to say thank you and welcome to KEENE.
How exciting is this? You made it. 850 applications. About 10 people want to sit in the seat you're sitting in. Congratulations. What an accomplishment. I welcome you all. I want to thank Eric and Casey. They have assembled a great class. I don't know if they've told you, but the word is out from what was accomplished by this faculty and the student body last year. Optometry opened 3 weeks ago. In the first 24 hours, we had 150 applications in the first 24 hours. Everybody wants to come to KEENE, but you made it. You'll get a chance to meet the king of academics, the person that you will follow and will direct your curriculum, Dr. Donnie AKERS over in the back. And Dr. AKERS is the Associate Dean of the school and is the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. So he is the one that guides the ship, guides your curriculum. What kind of job does he do? The first time in the history of optometry that one of the optometry faculty members at any school was also the outstanding alumnus for the undergraduate program. So Donnie's the real deal. He knows what's going on. He knows Pikeville, and he knows KEENE. What kind of job does he do? I told last year's class that I want everyone who's in this room, I want them back here in September. We have the whole class returning from last year. Tremendous, tremendous. That's because we select very carefully. There's 10 people who want to sit in your seat. That's the basic facts. So, therefore, I intend to graduate every one of you. If you got in the door, the first 6 months, if something happens and you don't graduate, my fault. Because the first 6 months are the toughest. Because there's so much emotionally going on besides this tremendous change. After the first 6 months, if you don't graduate, then it's not on me, it's on you. Special welcome this morning, very special to me since the day I walked in. You're going to hear from Governor Paul Patton this morning. I'll tell you what I told last year's class. Do not let your first year go by without trying to get 10 minutes on Governor Patton's schedule. You want to learn about leadership? You want to have a course in leadership? You'll all learn leadership. This gentleman changed the face of your profession. You know you can all use lasers, you can do minor surgical procedures. That started many years ago when Governor Paul Patton was in office. The building you're sitting in, Governor Paul Patton. So take 10 minutes out. I hope I'm not killing your schedule, Governor. But between now, before this year is out, get on a schedule for 10 minutes and go talk to a person who's the real deal and a person who's impacted optometry beyond anything that's ever been done to the profession. All right, so I was trying to see what am I going to tell you? Because I spoke to you all when you came here. And I told you a lot about going here. I told you about being selected. But now you're it. You're the selectees. So I tried to think back. And I tried to say, well, what was it like when I sat in those seats? What was it like my first time? And it left such a jarring emotional impact on me that I've kind of never forgot it. I can still remember driving down the Dan Ryan Expressway into Chicago. At that time, I came from a little beach town down on the Jersey Shore. It was me and a whole bunch of seagulls for most of my life. I'm in Chicago. So my first thought is, I don't want to be in Chicago. And what's this real scary thing called optometry school? I laughed before Casey said to you, you're going to get a lot of information this week. Wait till the next 4 years. I think you're going to get a lot of information. So I definitely didn't want to be there because I was going up a pretty tough crowd. This crowd had done their undergraduate work. I'm going up against men and women now who are all at the top of their game. So I don't know, could I really do these things? Well, I know you can do them, because you wouldn't be here if you couldn't do them. We select very carefully, as you know. Everybody is going to hear across the country at every optometry school that this is the best school today, whatever school they're in. But when we say that here, it has a different ring to it. It has a different tone to it because of our dual mission. Yes, you're all going to be great optometrists, as they will at Illinois, as they will at SUNY, as they will at Alabama. They're all going to graduate. We have good schools, in the most part. 90% are really class acts. So you will do that. But there is no other school where the doctors sitting in those seats are, in fact, the doctors. As you know, you train in a medical center. No other school, primary training in a hospital. Number two, you'll be out of federally qualified health centers where last year there was no eye care, zero. No ophthalmology, no optometry, no opticianry. You're it. 2 years. 2 years from today, you will be getting ready to see your 8 o'clock patient. Not a lot of time. So yes, this is a different school. We need a different type of person. And that's why we interview. And that's how we interview. So I didn't know kind of what I was doing in Chicago. Big city was fine. You know, I spent a lot of time in New York prior. So I knew that. But I didn't get this idea about going to school someplace. So first of all, I didn't want to be there. I think I was homesick when I saw the sign leaving New Jersey. I think that's when homesickness started. Number two, I didn't know if I could cut it. I just didn't know if I had the ability. And optometry, as I told you when you came here to interview, optometry told my life. It's changed my life. I would not be anywhere. I told you, you know, much like many of you, nobody from my family ever went to college. I was the first. It was an unknown factor to me. Education was an unknown factor for me. Didn't have a lot when I went to college. I started off in a little tiny railroad flat in Jersey City. We didn't have a lot. But we did have a respect for education. But I just didn't know, can I cut it here at a place where everybody's the best? You wouldn't be here if you couldn't. So now you have one decision that Eleanor Roosevelt tells you about. Eleanor Roosevelt tells you that you, because you've chosen optometry, will have to make great decisions in your life. So those days are over. You've made the big choice. You're here. You did it. The only decision you have to make now is, will you meet it poorly or will you meet it well? Certain people, as Eleanor Roosevelt tells us, certain people are destined to have to make great decisions. That is the class of 2021 at the Kentucky College of Optometry. You will make great decisions. Your choice now, are you going to meet them well, or are you going to meet them poorly? How are you going to meet them? What are you going to do? Those are your decisions. So the first thing that you do is understand that there's going to be a lot of emotional ups and downs every day, every night, because it's what part of becoming a professional means. The ability to make decisions. And we help you with that. Okay. We help you with that because we spend a lot of money in your class officers, getting them trained. You all have a course. Our course starts Friday. Our course starts next Friday, a week from Friday. We start looking at leadership and leadership training and personal development. We have a psychologist, Dr. Kay Webb, who teaches in that course. That course is so important to the university. The president teaches in that course. And that's the only course the president teaches in, is your leadership course. You will take that with the medical students. We'll have some parts where we get off on our own. That's how important leadership is to this area. So you're all leaders. So the first thing you have to do is are you going to graduate out of your head? You're going to graduate. I told them that last year, and they weren't in this building. They were scattered all over the place. We had a lot of courses, new courses to work out the bumps in, and that class handled it with class and distinction and integrity like I've never seen before. Great class. No one suffers like your first class because it's like your first child. That's who you make all your mistakes on. That's the one. So they have paved a great road for you. And they're all leaders. And they've all been to leadership training, and you will all be to leadership training. And you will learn that. So that's different. There's one other school only in the country, another advantaged school like ours, Texas, which is going to have leadership as part of their training, as part of their courses, and personal development. I expect you to be very different when you graduate here. I am very different than I was when I graduated. I am very different than I was before I was in the Air Force. I'm very different than I was before I came to Kentucky. It's all about growth and learning and feedback. So you've been selected to be amongst the best, so you are going to graduate, period. At the end of last spring, I began to hear some, oh, what's going to happen? How am I doing in neuro? And how am I doing at this? And every member of that class of 2020 is back. And you will be the same. So let's get on to being leaders, and let's get on to making decisions. Second of all, because you come to Kentucky, and because you've chosen to take part in the rebirth of a region that economically has gone from top of the line, more millionaires per capita than any place in America in this town, to where the average income in the town last year was $26,000. That's a pretty big span. Education in this building were brought here to change that. Medicine has changed the numbers. It's no longer an underserved area. It is still an underserved area, and I've told you all this. I've been over the data with you before. This area here is one of the most underserved visually, the blindest area in America. So therefore, you're going to see all of those things. It's your job to change that. Not some doctors out in the field, there aren't any. Not some doctors who are going to come in, there aren't any. It's you. And I told you this when you were making your decision to come here. So you made it. You were selected. So understand the quality of who you are coming in the door. And I expect you to know the quality of who you are when you graduate. Keep learning, keep developing. That's a big challenge to come here. It's a challenge to come here. If you want to be an optometrist, that's your biggest decision. Then you can go to another school and work hard, but see some patients in your third year on campus and be done with it. You didn't have to choose to come here and take care of whole populations in and around the hills. Travel to our federally qualified health centers. That is a choice. And that's a choice that's made by someone who's a success in their decision making. So when things seem to get a little hard, when you get homesick, which you will, when you get a little bit scared of the curriculum, which you will, that's okay. Because you have to remember, from a leadership, what we tell all of our entering troops when they first come in is understand who you are and the quality of who you are. And then we define fear for them. Because as General Douglas MacArthur told the Long Gray Line when asked in his final address to the cadets, what is it that defines courage? Because if I know what courage is, then I'll be able to perform under very adverse circumstances. So MacArthur thought for a while and he said, courage is the ability to face the fear in yourself. What a great answer. The ability to face the fear in yourself. Because what is fear? We define fear very, very easily. Fear, F, is false. It's not real. It's things you think you can't do, which you know you can do. E, education. You've been told since grammar school, you can't do these things, you can't do those things, you can't do these things. You think you're not good at math, you think you're not good at biology, you think you're not good at this. All these things that got into your head that begin to educate you along the way. A, appearing. You've educated yourself so long, you really think these negative things that are in you are true, and they're not. But you hear them enough, and you say them about yourself enough, and eventually they appear real. So fear is nothing more than false education appearing in reality. You've talked it into yourselves, and that's what MacArthur was trying to say. That's what Eleanor Roosevelt was trying to say. You're going to make great decisions. That's what got you here, and you will continue to do that. So remember that when things begin to get a little hard. Okay? You can do it. Wouldn't be here if you couldn't do it. We wouldn't have the class of 2020, every one of them from your seats last year to this year, under very adverse circumstances. Let me tell you, they did not have it easy. They had it, some of the things they went through were tough, but that's first year. They made the decision. They knew they could do it, and here they are. The next thing that you have to do, besides understand your decision-making and make that commitment to develop yourselves, to be a member of the University Pikeville community, remember, Kite goes to new school. The University of Pikeville is 127 years old. 127 years old. The circuit riders from the Presbyterian Church running through the hills to carry the gospel said, what do we got here? We have no education. We don't have any health care. So they got together on the banks of the river, right behind where we interviewed you, where the original college for Pikeville stands. They went there because the river was there. They had the mud to make the bricks to build the school. As they got donations of money, they made some more bricks, built more of the school. And it's still over there today. That's your legacy. Your legacy is of the mountains of 127 years ago when people came to start bringing health care. So you're a very part of a very proud tradition. The University of Pikeville came here to change the lives of the people. And they did that. And you're going to continue that legacy. You're going to change the lives of people here in this region. There's no other optometry school in this country sitting there saying that today. None. Zero. I know them. They're all saying we're going to be great optometrists. And 90% of them, they're going to graduate great optometrists, just like you. But you're different. The Pikeville legacy says you're here to serve people who are not served. That's huge. That's a huge load, and I told you that when you were thinking about coming here. You're taking a lot on your shoulders. This is not your average school. And I congratulate you all. You're here. 10 people for every seat, and look at you. You made it. So you will graduate. And the last thing that you need to be to come here is you need to be a little crazy to come here. Crazy helps when you come here. We could talk to you I could talk to you about all your textbooks. I'll leave that to Dr. Akers. He's the textbook guru. He'll talk to you all about your books. I could talk to you about optometry. It's a great profession made greater by Governor Patton, starting back many years ago. But the book that I would tell you that you probably need to read is a book that a man died for. It's called The Man of La Mancha, and it's written by Miguel de Cervantes, who went to his death for writing the book, the second most published book in the history of publication. The first book was the Bible. But the second book has so much to tell us. And the Man of La Mancha and de Cervantes. And he was put to death during the Inquisition. So strongly did he feel. And in the book he has an errant knight, Alonso de Quitania. And he goes crazy. So he decides that in his advanced age and in his dementia, he will go out and fight the evils of the world. He sees windmills as the great imposter. He sees old, worn-down inns as great fortresses. He challenges men much more virile than himself and younger to fights when they disrespect other people. His family is besides themselves because he's going to squander their fortune and they want his money. So they go on about trying to convince the world that Alonso is crazy. And so when he takes on his new name as a knight, Don Quixote. And I'm sure you've all seen the statues. Some of you might even have had to read the book when you're in there. Those of you who haven't, it's a very old tape. It's a very old book. But he goes crazy. But by the end of the book, Cervantes has very carefully turned it around. This person is for good. This person is for might. This person is not afraid to think that the world can be better than it is. Hence comes the Broadway song, to dream the impossible dream. That's where that comes from. At one point, the priest has them on a very large chessboard, moving them around to show the different roles in life, to try to convince people that Don Quixote is crazy. And we need to bring him back to their senses. We need to bring him back to their senses for that. That's where we get the term, the games people play in life. Your days of playing games in life are over. You're here to do a job. You're here to become great doctors. You're here to become great surgeons. And this is the place to do that. So that's another thing that he says in the book, the games people play. You're not games players, you're decision makers. So as they go along in the book, the whole region begins to think he's crazy. Well, you can't defeat injustice. You can't defeat all of these things. I will not tell you who the windmills, the great imposters are, in case you haven't read it yet or you haven't had a chance to look at it. You're going to have to find that out for yourself. Very interesting when it comes down to be the great imposter. So they have to figure out a plan. They have to rein in this crazy man. But by the time you get into the middle of the book, well, who's crazy here? Is the individual who can only dream impossible dreams, who beats unbeatable foes, who's not afraid to walk into dangerous situations? Is that the crazy person? Or is it the people who think they're sane and implying that they're sane? So he confuses us. So you're here because you're a little crazy, because you've got a big job to do. You need to be crazy enough to think that you can take care of people that have no eye care. You need to be crazy enough to think that, yeah, it's about me. I can do this. I can do the surgeries necessary that these people have not done. I can prescribe the drugs that are necessary for these individuals to do. Yeah, I'm a little crazy. Crazy like Don Quixote. So then they have to kill him. They have to, even if it puts him further into his dementia, he can't be going all over the region, appearing like a crazy man, embarrassing the family, squandering the family's inheritance. And the way they defeat him is very interesting. They hold and surround him with mirrors, so that no matter where he looks, he doesn't see this knight errant in this shining suit of armor. He sees an individual who's disheveled and bloody and bearded, rags wrapped around his head. And it shocks him back into his world. So what have they done? They've done what you have to be careful of. They have had him see him, they have made him see himself the way the world sees him, as a crazy person. Even though he's good, even though he's trying to defeat evil, he brings the maiden Aldonza to become Dulcinea, takes a person who feels she's worth nothing and transforms her. He begins to transform lives through his work. But when they can finally get him to think about the things that they can't do, to think about the things that they can't accomplish, to think about the key things that they can't succeed at, he goes back into his dementia. Don't allow people to tell you you can't accomplish what you can't accomplish. That's the point of this. Don't tell people that you can't dream to be doctors in 2 years. Don't tell people that you can't walk into impossible situations and correct them. You gave all that up. When you came here, you decided to become crazy. You decided to enter the world of Miguel de Cervantes and understand that it's about me and I can change things and I don't care what people tell me I can or can't do because I can accomplish those things. And all the good that when Don Quixote finally dies in the end. And of course, because of the mysticism which they felt at the time during the Reformation, because many people thought it was Cervantes' way of portraying the crucifixion. If you remember back to the windmills, the wood and the windmill looks like a cross. So whatever your faith was, for the faith that Miguel de Cervantes wrote about, and again saying, this is the truth. And no matter how many people you kill during the Inquisition, I'm still gonna say what the truth is, and I'm still gonna try to change this. And he lost his life for that. If you go to Spain today, to his hometown, huge monuments to De Cervantes, second most published book. So that's you, folks. Gotta be a little crazy to come here. It helps. It helps. Some of you will push crazy to the limit. I know that. That's okay. You're young men and women. So think about those things. Think about it's about you, about the change in you, about the growth in you. Don't ever think you can't do this. Okay, will some people criticize you for being an idealist? Absolutely they will. Will some people criticize you for saying, hey, I'm not here to pass some test. I'm here because I have a person out in the holler that's going blind, and that person depends on me to understand this. Don't study when you're here to pass tests. That cheats yourself out of knowing what you're doing. It cheats your patients out of the care that you need to give to them in just 2 years, folks. 2 years from today, your 8 o'clock patient is coming in. So it's not far away. Not far away at all. So remember those things. Remember why you're here. Remember who you are. This is not about me. It's not about the governor. It's not about Dr. Akers. This is about you. We serve you. That's why I'm here. My whole job as an administrator is to serve. Make sure the faculty has what they need to serve you. And you talk with the officers. They run their own class. I don't run their class. They're very talented men and women. They don't need me to tell them how to run their class. And we run it together. And we'll build a school together. So, if you don't want to get criticized, if you don't want to get criticized, if you don't want to attempt things and be afraid that someone will call you a failure, okay? If you don't want to step out there and say, no, I'm a little different. I got into the Kentucky College of Optometry. There's 3 things that you need to do not to be criticized. So I teach this to all the men and women in the military when they come in. If you don't want to be criticized, what you have to do is don't attempt anything, don't achieve anything, and don't succeed in anything. That's the only way to avoid criticism. So, welcome. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud. My first year knows how I feel about them. Oh, not second year, pardon me. I made a mistake I'll get criticized for already. So, welcome. Congratulations. 10 people for every seat. We're here to help you. And 4 years from now, we'll be down there in the Kentucky Expo Center, and I'll be giving you your degree. So welcome to Pikeville. Okay, well, get started again. It's always good to get to know everybody and to get to know who your faculty is and who the executive council is. Now, your faculty is the engine. The faculty drives the school. The faculty moves things on. The faculty is responsible for recommending to me that you are ready for graduation. So the faculty will be introducing themselves. Right now, the group of individuals who is responsible for resourcing you, number one, resourcing the faculty, number two, basically the people who serve the people that the school runs around, the learners and the faculty, is the administration of the school. And if there's one thing I have to tell you, please, when something's not going right, bring it to our attention. The number one problem, I was the first year class advisor up at Salis for a while, and when I was down in Texas, the number one problem in the first professional year is living arrangements. That's a problem. Don't like the landlord, something comes up there. We had people last year who moved in and their rent changed. Roommates. Roommates is the fastest thing that will cause a problem. Solve it right away. You're here to study. You're here to study. Look at all the study rooms that are around here, because your job is to study, not for me, for the people who you need to be ready for in 2 years. So bring problems to our attention. If it lies in student services role, then you go to Eric. If it lies in overall problems, you would come to me. If it is an academic type of problem that you're having difficulty with, it's Dr. Akers. And you always go to your faculty member first, okay? Because that's the easiest place to solve it, because that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to find out what your instructor thinks. But it's not going to be academic problems, I promise you that. It's going to be living, it's going to be how to get around here. We have some major changes for you that Eric has filled you in on, and the food plan is the biggest. Last year, our first year class, they wouldn't give us a food plan. It was you buy it all or you don't get anything. This year we have a very good food plan, so you don't have to worry about cooking. If you want, you can have dinner. If you want, you can have lunch, those plans. So please bring things to our attention. And that means things that are not directly related to KEICO. The fastest thing which will ruin your first 6 months are your living arrangements. I've been doing it long enough to tell you it's simply the way it's going to be. We're part of that. First 6 months, my responsibility is to get you through those first 6 months. If you make it through the first 6 months, well, you're going to graduate, period. So, my right hand and your associate dean for academic affairs, and the person who, as associate dean, is in charge of running the place in my absence, is Dr. Donnie Akers. And Donnie, you want to say a little bit about your role?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. I've got a chance to meet most of you this morning. I walked around during your breakfast trying to entice you to eat a little bit, but everybody's pretty nervous, I'm sure. But I am Donnie Akers, Dr. Akers, the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and as I told a lot of you guys this morning, you know, make sure that you approach us, ask questions. A lot of you are just getting settled in, and many of us, and myself, this is my home. So I want to make you welcome. I want to make sure you're welcome. So there's going to be, as Dr. BUZZELLI said, a lot of things that may come up that's not just inside these walls. There could be things out in the community that you're having questions or trouble with, or just where do you go for, you know, certain services. You know, just make sure you ask. You know, we want to make sure that you're comfortable. Some of you from far, far away. And if you get sick, or if you need, you know, your car breaks down or whatever, just come and ask us, and we'll make sure. It's one good advantage of being in a small town and a small community like this is that, you know, we tend to know a lot of people, and we have the ability to help you if you guys need help. So again, we want to make you feel welcome. We want you to feel welcome in, you know, not only on campus but off campus in our community as well. Many of you might have seen me during your student interviews, but I'll be involved with your gross anatomy course. You saw maybe the gross anatomy virtual 3D interactive anatomy program that we get to have fun with later on, starting next week. I think actually on the very first day we have a lab, so that gives something to look forward to, I hope. But I'll be involved in gross anatomy, and then also in your second semester, your ocular anatomy. We likewise will have a course with some virtual 3D interactive program. So I get to see a lot of you mostly in the lab, a little bit in lecture. I'm not privileged to have any of you guys individually as advisees, but which means that I get to have all of you as advisees. So anything you need, my office is open to all of you. So make sure that you, again, like I said, bring any kind of problems or concerns or just anxieties, bring it to our attention as soon as possible. Let us help you. Let us make you feel welcome, okay? So again, I'm excited. I'm a little nervous because I'm just really excited about getting to work with you folks. So if you have anything else, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie. Next, the person who proudly owns the nightmare job on the Executive Council is Dr. Cliff CAUDILL, incidentally, the Kentucky Optometrist of the Year. And the reason I say that is this is not, just like you're not average, this isn't your average faculty either. And you know that, you've introduced them all. But since you were here last time, Dr. CAUDILL, now Dr. CAUDILL will go on to compete for the Optometrist of the Year for the country. So his job is, he has a little simple thing to do. He's got to organize all these clinics, get all these clinics up and running for you, see that you're there, and remember now that you don't get assessed anymore, and they don't accredit us based on the number of patients you see. It's number of diagnoses, number of diseases, amount of glaucoma, number of drugs you prescribe, number of surgeries you do. The person who has to keep track of all that is Dr. CAUDILL. So how is he at his job? We just got our site visit just this week. You probably don't know about it because I look to have you a block email for you. For the rare times and something I've never seen, the Accreditation Council gave us a completely clean slate. All 8 standards met in full. There's 2 columns, met in full, met in part, or not met, and this whole side of the page was blank. They had 4 suggestions. Of the 4 suggestions, 3 of them involved the clinic. So the Accreditation Council watches Cliff very carefully. And this is a very easy process for you. If you like something that's going on in clinic and you think it's fun and you're enjoying it, you bring that to Dr. CAUDILL or myself. If you're having a problem, if you don't like something, you bring that to Miss Sharon Blackburn. She's right back there in the corner, and Sharon, that's who you go to. That's the exec who helps run the clinics, and that's where all the problems go. So that's easy to remember. Good stuff, me and Cliff. You want to vent? Sharon. Cliff.
You stole my thunder on that one. I appreciate that because that's exactly right. This is not the complaint department up here. It lies right there squarely on Ms. Blackburn's shoulders. Welcome, welcome. You know, the sentiments from all the faculty about our willingness to help you all, I think you're going to hear that over and over again. And I have found this last year that that's exactly the way this faculty responds to folks. So if you have problems, issues, concerns, please bring them to us. It is a new program, and there are a lot of growing pains for everyone, and so we appreciate the feedback, and we'll do everything we can to help you out. With a nice introduction, Cliff CAUDILL. I'm a Kentucky guy, so if you don't plan to root for the Wildcats in basketball, go ahead and get your ticket out the door, okay? Because it's not necessary that you continue the program. You won't make it, I guarantee you. Kidding, of course. No, I grew up here in Kentucky. I'm a Lexington guy. I went to the University of Kentucky. I did my optometry at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, sometime before 2000. I'll just leave it at that. But no, I'm just kidding. I did that in '95, and I did a residency in Oklahoma in 1995. In Oklahoma at the time was really the only state where we were allowed to do any kind of procedures involving minor surgical procedures or laser procedures. So I was trained in those procedures back in Oklahoma back in 1995, okay? So I am sort of the head of that portion of this curriculum. As you get further along, we're developing 2 separate courses, one in ophthalmic surgery that involves lasers, one in ophthalmic surgery that involves periocular or around the eye procedures. No other course, no other institution in this country has a defined courses like that. They have some electives. They have, it's part of, you know, some other course that they use. but we have 2 separate courses with labs that are specifically designed to teach you in these advanced or expanded therapeutic procedures. You're not going to get that anywhere else in this country. So you all will be prepared to be able to meet the needs and meet the requirements of any state board, any changes in scope of practice that occur in optometry, I foresee in the next 10, 15 years at least. So you made a really, really good choice. So I supervise some of the preclinical courses. Those are the ones that you learn about how you interact with patients and what testing you do before you actually get into clinic, and then we'll supervise your clinical experience in a variety of locations throughout the region. So again, welcome, and I look forward to working with you a little bit more further along in your curriculum, but of course I'm always around, and if you have questions about clinic, please come and see me or Ms. Blackburn.
Thank you, Cliff. Okay, but what about me? Who tells me what to do? How do I know what to say, and how do I know where to go? Well, that falls into 2 departments. When I leave here at 5 o'clock, I'm directed in my home life by my wife, the First Lady of KEENE, Debbie BUZZELLI, and she's right in back there. She's a pretty good boss, 95% of the time. The other 5% of the time is when I'm wrong, so do that. Now, when I get here at 9 o'clock, that changes. And then my university boss kicks in. That is our executive director, Ms. Heather KEENE. Ms. Heather KEENE is in charge of making sure the policies go straight, making sure the processes run right, make sure the faculty is resourced with staff so we can move staff around. Quite a unique set of credentials, valedictorian of her high school class. Her graduated with honors from Moorhead with a degree in business, and then went on to get a master's degree in business and finance. So she is probably the best exec I've ever had, and that includes 24 years in the Air Force. And finances, there's nobody better. She knows what every dollar in this building is and how it got here and where it goes. So she really serves everybody and is really the person that has to do the day-to-day heavy carrying. Heather?
Hi guys. So a lot of my work is behind the scenes. You won't see me a whole lot until your leadership course in the 3rd year. I'll be lecturing some in there, but we're glad to have you here. Dr. Buzzelli and I were the first 2 that started the school, and we've watched it grow, and it's just amazing. So I've been in Pikeville all my life, so if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to come to me too about what's around or what's available. So nice to meet you.
Thank you, Heather. All right. How important is leadership? How important is development? Important enough to us that we actually have a place on the executive council to make sure that your personal growth and your personal development and your leadership skills are high on the level. I've told most of you this story before, but I really never get tired of telling it. I had a bright young lady who I knew from school. She was one of my students in school and was top of the line. And she graduated and went on to get a master's degree in public health. Then she went on to distinguish herself at Johns Hopkins University in her research and her taking care of children and in her direction to pediatrics. And I came across her at a meeting and I said, come look at us. And people immediately began to tell me, you're not getting her. She's in Johns Hopkins. She's not coming to Pikeville. She's been there for a long time. She's not going to go back into academics. She's one of the distinguished researchers at Johns Hopkins University. So that's not going to happen. Well, this is a person who dreams. This is our own Don Quixote, a person who knew that her heart and her calling was in some place different than just sitting on her accolades back at Johns Hopkins. So our Director of Leadership and Professional Development, Dr. Josephine Awea.
Welcome, everyone. I went around this morning and told you that you are now my people. So when you hear me say that, that's because it's our mission to make sure that you graduate. I already have you guys 4 years from now. You're out of here, and in a good way, but that's what we want to happen. So I grew up in Baltimore, and here I am in Pikeville because there's a mission here that we need to fulfill. And I want to be part of that mission. And that's why I'm excited to see all you, and that's why I keep on saying my people, because you're part of the mission as well. So my role is as Director of Personal and Professional Development. And I already told some of you, I have a chair in my office, so if something comes up, you're writing an essay, you need a recommendation, things like that, or you just need to talk, that chair is for you. You come in, you say, can I sit down? My office is always open. Just let me know if you need anything at all. I do pediatrics. So in second and third year, I'll be also your pediatrics course director. So I do a lot of stuff, but then it's a lot of fun because I get to work with my people. And just like I told you, when you're introducing yourself, so leadership moment, when you're introducing yourself today, make sure you shake hands real firmly and also make sure you mention your name so I can get to know my new people. Thank you.
Thank you, Josephine. One thing that I needed is experience, because we have students who are coming in here, learners, not students. Student days are over, that was college. You're all done with your college, you're all adult men and women. You're no longer students, you're adult learners. So I needed someone with experience who could really be committed to seeing that learners have all the processes in place, all the policies in place, deal with the accreditation system, because our accreditation rises and falls on the learners. I told the first year that, and at the site visit when they left my first year, this year's second year, I said, wow, they really want to know what we think. The accreditors, now remember, since we're pre-accredited, they come back every single year. They come back every 8 years once I graduate the class of 2020. But up till now, they come back every year to make sure we're doing what we said we were going to do. Okay? We knew that we were capable of doing this, and they came for the first site visit. They said, you look like you're ready. Take in your first class, 2020. We ran the first class for a year. Back came the accreditors and said, okay, you've had learners in there now. Is this program look like it should look to continue your stage of accreditation you're in, that being pre-accreditation, not accredited. People say, oh, they're not accredited. That's not true. Nothing could be further from the truth. We are pre-accredited, which is the stage of accreditation you're at this point. So they came back to say, yes, you're doing it, or you need to do this differently, or you're closed. Perfect slate. Not a single thing that we had to look at. Well, those policies that run our learners are done by a person who's responsible for your whole environment of learning. And the environment of learning, which the class of 2020, as we marched them all over the hills to get there first, we told them they'd be in the building here in December, okay? Instead, they got in March. I don't know if they figured that out yet, but they were a little late getting them in here. So I needed experience. So fortunately, another committed individual from the University of Indiana School of Optometry came down here, and he ran that program for the first year. And that whole program of how we handle students came off without a comment. So, Mr. Eric McLaughlin, Director of Student Affairs.
Thanks, Dr. Buzzelli. You're going to be hearing a lot from me this week, so I'll keep it brief. But I do want to express my excitement about what's happening here. As Dr. Buzzelli said, I came from IU, and it wasn't an easy call to uproot our home and our sort of established life we had going and to come here. But my family, a lot of them are from this region, just over the mountain, about 20 miles. And so when I saw what was happening here, and the new face of Appalachia is beginning here. And so we have people in this school, in this class. You are from 22 different states. We have people on our faculty and on our staff from all over the world. The University of Pikeville has completely changed over the last 22 years, and this region is experiencing a rebirth and growth and hope like I've never seen in Appalachia. I'm from, my hometown is 2 hours north in a little place called Portsmouth. We have 20,000 people, and we don't have nearly the opportunity in our town that Pikeville has. It's an exciting time to be here. It's exciting to get to know each one of you. And you know, I'm fortunate, but I'm also very dependent because what I do requires, it's inextricably linked to what other people are doing around me, to what the faculty are doing, to what other members of our executive team are doing, to what our student affairs and success and admissions team are doing. And so everything I do is linked to somebody else doing something else. And so you'll hear from my team here in a little bit, but I do have to recognize Casey Price and Brittany Hall for all of their contributions. Prior to me getting here, along with Dr. Roya Attar, they were the face of student affairs, and then Josephine also was the face of student affairs. So I owe any success that I get, it has come on the backs and on the coattails of those who have gone before me. And we are chief servants most of all. So we're here for you. A lot of the work that I do is also behind the scenes for making sure your building operates effectively and properly, to making sure that no funny business happens. Because even among professional students, we do have sometimes some things that need to be examined a little more carefully. But once again, welcome. I am first and foremost a resource to you. I am available 24/7 most of the time. And I can't always promise I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and the phone rings, but as soon as I do wake up, I'll be available. But most of the time, 24/7. So thank you, and I look forward to getting to know each one of you in depth.
More experience. We need to get some experience in here to take care of you. We were most fortunate in the ability at the time then when a experienced educator from Western College, who then went on to New Zealand to begin some very in-depth groundwork-breaking research in New Zealand, came to join us, put together your methods course, and was recognized by being elected as the faculty chair. The faculty chair has a huge job. He or she has to put together ideas that sometimes they have to bring to me which are not their own. The faculty chair has to know the needs of the faculty, and the faculty has things that sometimes they want to bring to me, which the faculty chair, regardless of what they think, has to present along with the faculty council their ideas. So we've been blessed with great faculty chairs and with great open communication. That's one thing that the self-study, that the site visit that just came commented on, the great communication that existed between the university administration and between the KEENE administration and the KEENE faculty. They commented on that. So great researcher, a very experienced educator, Dr. James ROGALA.
Well, welcome everybody. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces. So from the faculty, speaking on their behalf, we do welcome you back. Many of you I recognize from admissions, although not all of you. I was heavily involved, so I do see a lot of familiar faces. So I hope everybody had a really enjoyable summer. Very, very exciting time for most of you. Many of you going through graduation in the spring, having that summer to kind of celebrate, do things with family, friends, and now you're beginning this next exciting phase of your life. So we're glad to see you back. I think it's going to be a really fun year, and I look forward to it. As Dr. BUZZELLI said, I'm Dr. ROGALA. I teach primarily in ocular disease, or at least that had been my background at other universities. I started off teaching at a medical center where I was a clinical instructor for the School of Optometry up in Michigan for their externs and residents in ocular disease. Got into running a laser vision center for a while from the optometry standpoint. I'm chief of optometry there. And then I got back into academia full-time because that's really where my heart lies. I taught at the University of Auckland in New Zealand from 2007 through 2011. And then I moved back to the US and I was teaching at the optometry school in Pomona, California, until I went back down under for a semester to do some research at the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia. So it's been a big trip for me to end up here in the mountains. Beautiful place to be. We're excited to have you all here. As I mentioned, I teach primarily in ocular disease, so we have some anterior seg courses, posterior segment disease I'll teach. Took on the methods courses and it play a big role in several of those, which are kind of your hands-on, how do I run certain tests. And I believe this year, I could be mistaken with the schedule, but I believe I have the honor of delivering your first lecture the first day on Monday. So I will see you all very shortly. And I'm going to allow the rest of our faculty to introduce themselves, but welcome back.
I'm Dr. John Bradley. I just recently retired from the United States Navy. I served in the military for 20 years. I was at the Inter-American University of Puerto Rico to get my degree for optometry back in 2004. So I'm fluent in Spanish. Was in the Navy practicing for a while, and then they sent me back to UAB to get my PhD. So I did research for the Navy for the last 6 years or so, and then retired, and now I'm down here in Pikeville, ready to teach. I'll be teaching Methods 1 and Methods 3 this year. So for your class, that's Methods 1, so some clinical skills, and then also I'll be helping out with the monocular vision visual perception course. So we're glad to have you here at Pikeville. This is a great opportunity, like it's been mentioned many times. You will learn a lot in the next 4 years, and then you will be able to go forth and serve those in your communities, serve and provide the skills to help them with their vision needs. So you have a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a great time, not just the 4 years, but then in your careers. So it is definitely a great career to be in. So you have a lot of exciting things coming in the very near future. So glad to meet you all.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Steve Harris. I am in my 20th year with the medical school here as the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Professor of Pharmacology. Looking forward to spending time with you guys in pharmacology class, but glad to have you here.
Well, good morning. All right, one of my shoes is slightly falling off, so excuse that. My name is Maya Powell Benedetti. It's Benedetti because I just got married a few months ago, so I'm really excited and really happy about that. I want to welcome you all to the University of Pikeville School of Optometry, and this is such an exciting time for you guys. I hope that you're as excited as I am. You won't have me until next year because I'm going to be your pharmacology teacher. I graduated from the University of Charleston School of Pharmacy in West Virginia, so I'm a pharmacist, and I can't wait to work with you guys. It's going to be an awesome year for you all. Thanks. Good morning. My name is Rachel Fitzgerald. I will be helping with the people under 5 feet tall, so I will be in the pediatrics department. I'm originally from Atlanta area, so I'm a big Georgia Bulldogs fan, so I care nothing about basketball. And then also I'm a big Falcons fan, so if you guys like football, I'm probably the person that can talk. So I look forward to working with all of you in peds.
I'm just barely at the 5-foot one, so we'll move this down just a little bit. I'm Eileen Kinzer. I'm originally from the Seattle area. I went to school at Pacific and did my residency at Indiana University in disease. You guys will be seeing a whole lot of me because I help coordinate the labs for methods for our skills. So I'm really excited. If you guys have any questions at all, my office is right on the same floor as your lab, so you guys can pop in at any time. And I'm looking forward to meeting and getting to know all of you.
Is everyone really excited? Well, I don't feel any excitement from all of you today. There you go. Okay, so it is really nice to see some of you that I had the opportunity to interview. We're so excited. You've heard that, all of us say that so many times today, but we really are so excited to have you guys. We had what I call our firstborns, who were just wonderful, our inaugural class, and we're looking for our second class to be equally as well in the path that they've laid out, but also make out your own path. But I guess I should start with introducing myself. So I'm Dr. Roya Attar. I was probably the third person here, and I've been here and helped the program grow. I moved here from Texas. I will be involved in a lot of your courses, and what's important for me about all of you is that the information that you get, that you're able to retain it because you will have to use it for the rest of your life, your career essentially. So I use almost any means necessary. I always like to tell my firstborns I'm fluent in several languages. One of them is in memes. So you'll see a lot of memes from me. So I look forward to having all of you in class, and I love nothing more to see smiles on your faces, but certainly if you have any issues or if there's anything that we can help you get through personally, professionally, or academically, we're all here for you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Josh Watson. I'm from Kentucky originally, but not from this area of Kentucky. I got my PhD from University of Louisville, so if you feel like defecting over to the red team, come talk to me. You'll have me for physiology in the spring, and that's about it. Welcome.
Let's see. Yeah, I got to move this back down to Dr. Kinzer's level. Let's see. Unfortunately, yeah, you can't really pull it up for Dr. Watson. But anyway, so I'm Dana Ziegler. I was hired on as a professor in the med school to teach neuro and also to help out with gross anatomy. And that's pretty much my role now in optometry as well. So I will be one of your neuroscience professors, and in the spring, and then I'm also joining the anatomy course, your first semester anatomy course this fall. Let's see. I guess that's it.
Seems like this thing's getting a workout. Clap, clap. That's for you guys. Welcome. Okay, my name's Don Egan. I'll be teaching you probably in your second and third years, mostly about contact lenses. What you need to know is that probably every type of contact lens that exists will be on one of your eyes sooner or later. Whether we take it off is a different story. Okay, but you will try every contact lens there is. Okay, I'll teach you your basic contact lenses, your advanced contact lenses are probably involved with your contact lens clinic as well. Otherwise, my past history is, let's see, this is my 5th optometry school, so I've been around a little bit. Went to Salus University, or PCO, which is what we really like to call it, and was the founding faculty and administration at 3 different other optometry schools. So, welcome. See you guys in a while. Clap.
Hi, I'm Mike Younger. We were told that we were supposed to say where we were from, so I grew up by Chicago area. Lived in all over the East Coast pretty much for several years. I graduated from UNC with my PhD. So, you know, I think the other blue team won this year. I'm just sorry to say, you know, Dr. Cliff Caudil. Light blue, not dark blue, right? So, but anyhow, so yeah, I'm not going to say a whole lot. I'm going to teach biochemistry, so I'll be seeing you here very shortly. And at that point, me and Dr. Dievska, who will be my partner in crime teaching biochemistry to you guys, which I don't think she's here right now, but you guys will meet her. And I think that's going to be Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that, we'll see. But at that point, we'll introduce ourselves, and you guys will be familiar with our program and how we like to interact with you guys. But just so you know, our offices are always open, and although you'll have to go to the other building, we're definitely there for you guys. So anytime you want to stop by. Okay, thanks, guys. Enjoy your week before school.
So my name is Adam Hickenbotham. I'm from California, so when I hear blue and red, I think Berkeley and Stanford. So I'm from the blue team. I don't know what this Louisville, Kentucky thing is, but we need serious academics here, not this basketball stuff. So I spent the last 3 or 4 weeks in Asia, so if I am jet lagged and I fall asleep halfway, no, seriously, I am jet lagged. So we were doing laser surgery there in the Philippines. We're doing a new type of laser surgery. I'll be in third year. I'll be working with you with lasers. First year, I'll be working with you in the optics course. So we should have a lot of fun in optics, and then I look forward to third year when we can start shooting some things with lasers. But thank you.
Κυρίες και κύριοι, καλώς ήρθατε. Oops, I need to change this. Okay, so that was Greek for ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Georgios Simelis, I'm from Greece. I will be with you quite a lot, particularly in the beginning. We'll be doing optics. One thing that's a good idea that you know about me is that I like photography, and I'm very passionate about it, and astronomy. So we're going to have a good event, exciting event, because we're right under the path for the Great American Eclipse, which is happening in about 4 weeks from now. And we're planning to have something very nice and exciting for all of you, this class and the previous, and everybody who's interested. So these two passions are essential in explaining the beauty of optics, which is exactly what your profession is all about. The eye operates on principle of optics. The way you examine the eye is optics. And believe me, if you take away all the math that scares all of you, right? Is that true that math scares you? It is, okay. So we're gonna take it away and enjoy, understand, appreciate this very essential part. So I will be with you in this endeavor and wish you good luck and welcome again. Thank you very much.
All right, we're done with the faculty. My name's Emily Peterson, and I am your librarian. I am, like you, very brand new to this school. I've been here about a month. I was back here in April for the accreditation meetings, and I was kind of thrown into the fire. So it's really been trial by fire for me. So I'm going to be learning and growing with you guys. I have, you guys don't know where the library is yet, but we have a library over across the street, and I will also have an office on the 5th floor, and I will balance my time between those. And I will give you guys all of my contact information. We'll have time to, you'll have opportunity to chat with me. I can do virtual reference, schedule appointments. I'm here to help you guys succeed in your academic careers, and I want you guys to walk away from this program knowing how to search and going into your professional lives and using the skills that you have acquired here and being able to pass that on to your colleagues wherever you go. So I look forward to working with you.
Hi everyone, it's nice to meet you all. I've seen some of you guys stop by my office, and I got to meet you on your interview days or when you did tours, but my name is Brittany and I am the Associate Director of Academic Success. I won't go into detail a lot about what I'll be doing with you because I have an entire hour on Wednesday reserved just for that, so we'll save all that till then. But I'm really excited you're here, and I'm excited to get to know everyone. And don't let Dr. CAUDILL scare you. I cheer against UK pretty often, anytime Tennessee's involved. But you at least got to be bandwagon, because if you're not a bandwagon UK fan, your life here will be difficult. But anyways, I will have a longer discussion on Wednesday. But congratulations, I'm glad to meet everybody.
Welcome to our beautiful city. We are so glad that each of you are here, and you're in for an exciting time. And as I guess I've already been introduced somewhat, I have complaint department written across my forehead. And there will be 3 words sometimes may have to give out to you as deal with it maybe. But anyway, my name is Sharon Blackburn, and I am the clinical operations manager for the optometry school. Excuse me. I'll be working closely with Dr. CAUDILL, and again, I won't really have a lot of interactions with you until your 3rd and 4th year as we start to get you out into the clinics and things of that nature. So as we begin and continue to develop the clinics, just know that you've got some exciting times, and it's going to be so rewarding. You've come to a wonderful, wonderful town. Thank you.
And you all should know me, I hope, by this point. I'm the one who gets all the emails, so that's the fun part. I am going to take this time, though, to put another sales pitch out there. So you're here, your students. Can I have my ambassadors stand up for just a second? So these are the folks that you probably met during your interview days, whenever you maybe come and did a tour. They may have been the ones that took you around. So my sales pitch to you today is, you could be in one of these positions. We'll be opening up our sessions to have our ambassador program opened up to our first-year students this coming year. So think about it. We really would like to have as many ambassadors as possible. As we become more and more popular and get more and more applications, we need more and more ambassador help. So, and they're going to be a whole lot busier when they get to clinic. So we would love to have you there. Otherwise, thank you, welcome, and have a wonderful week.
Okay, moving right along. I'm going to take that just one step farther here in just a second, but let's give our faculty and our staff a round of applause. The people that you've heard from here the last 45 minutes, they've built this place. Their blood, sweat, and tears have gone into making our program all that it is, and the kind of program that sailed through ACOE site visits. So we've had a lot of people working hard. I would like for our ambassadors to come up here because they are working hard as well. They represent our school very well. You're going to be seeing a lot of these folks over the next few days. I think Nicole ran out for a minute, but we'll put her on the spot as soon as she gets back in here. Guys, tell them your name, where you're from, and why you chose to come to KEENE.
My name's Kyle Fluharty. I'm from a little small town in Ohio, and I chose to come here because lasers are awesome.
My name is Sarah Heath. I'm from Chester, West Virginia, and I chose to come here because this town reminds me a lot of my hometown.
I'm Andrew Sandifer. I'm from Georgetown, Indiana, and I chose Pikeville because it just felt like a family here at the school. And Dr. AKERS is here.
I'm Jordan Davidson. I'm from Hazard, Kentucky, which is about an hour that way. So obviously I'm local, but Kentucky has the best laws in the country, so why not come here?
All right, thanks, guys. You could have used the microphone, but it doesn't bite. Okay. Thanks to everybody who has participated this morning and made this a reality. So now we've already had a break, so I'm going to launch right into our next session. As Dr. BUZZELLI mentioned, a lot of the reason that we're studying in this school and that Kentucky even has the scope of optometric practice that it has is because of a certain gentleman that you're going to be hearing from very soon. This gentleman has worked tirelessly for this region. When I was an undergraduate, I used to hear him all the time on the radio as the governor of Kentucky. And so he has done a lot. His statue is down in the circle. He has served as a former president of the University of Pikeville, and he is now serving as our chancellor. He's done a lot for us. He's done a lot for the region. So I would ask that you please put your hands together for our 59th governor and chancellor, Governor Paul Patton.
Thank you, and let me add my welcome to you to the University of Pikeville and Pike County and Appalachia. And I want you to recognize that you, as has been mentioned many times this morning, you're a special group of people. 22 states, I'm going to check Dr. Buzzelli's math. He said you were one of 10. Well, I think with 850 applicants and 60 successful, you're one of 14. 13 other people were passed over to give you this opportunity. And so you are special, and we expect great things out of you. As Dr. Buzzelli gave a very inspiring talk, I thought, said, you're going to be successful. You have proven that you have the intellectual ability to complete what is a difficult program. It's not going to be easy. It's a step, you're stepping up and a higher level. You know, I'd say most of you zipped through high school, piece of cake. Moved up to college, a little bit higher level of education, a little bit more expected of you, but you were obviously successful. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. So now you're stepping up to another level. And so understand that. And it does require a tremendous amount of work and effort on your part. And it's going to lead to a great profession, but our goal is to see you, as Dr. Buzzelli said, complete this program and graduate. Now, you've got the intellectual ability to do that, but life happens. Let me assure you that if any of you don't finish, it will be because of something besides your intellectual and classwork. But life happens. And the point I'm trying to make is, if you have a problem, whatever it is, we here at the University of Pikeville are committed to help you work through it. We have experts, we have counselors, we have programs to any issue that you can think of. And if you don't know who to come to, you come to my office. I got an office over in the administration building. You don't have to, you can make an appointment, but you don't have to make an appointment. I'm there most of the time, and I enjoy talking about politics and government and football and basketball and whatever you want to talk about. So I do want to extend a personal invitation. If you want to come by and visit with me and learn a little bit more about politics and my views on it, I would enjoy that. And if you have any problem, I may not be able to solve it, but I think I can find somebody that can help you with it. So do understand that you are a very special class that we're very interested in. You're from, as I said, 22 states, from Hawaii to New York, from Florida to Wisconsin, from Texas to Massachusetts. And where's my young lady from Hawaii? Hold your hand up. Where'd you go? Let me tell you something. You all are coming to Appalachia, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But one Saturday morning, about 8 o'clock, I lived up here on the hill, and I walked out with my robe on, my hair all messed up to get the paper out of the mailbox, and I saw this car had come up the little bitty road from Page Hall. You probably don't know where that is, but that's a really, really road. And they were obviously confused. Their GPS, I think, had taken them some back street. It had to be what it was. And I finally, they looked at me and they said, well, he must know something. And so they were asking me where the interview building was, and I tried to send them that way. But I know that when most of you from out of state, and many of you from Kentucky, when you first talked about the University of Pikeville, you looked at it and you said, that's in Appalachia. I don't know about that. They got a lot of problems up in Appalachia. But you did have the nerve to at least look at us. And obviously you have been satisfied, and let me tell you, 4 years from now, you're going to be even more satisfied. You're going to be proud of the fact that you were the inaugural classes of the Kentucky College of Optometry, because it's going to be the best. Let me tell you just a little bit about this region. I've been here for 80 years. I'm an Appalachian. Yeah, I'm purebred. City of Pikeville, as you can see around you, 7,000 people. But you can look around and tell that this is not just a town of 7,000 people. This is the downtown of a much larger metropolitan area. And you have here available a lot of stuff that you would not expect to have in a town of 7,000 people. And the great thing about it is it's just 5 minutes away. That 5 o'clock rush hour lasts about 7.5 minutes, and you're ready to go. You have a medical center over here that is top of the line. One of about 18 institutions in America associated with the Mayo Clinic. Working with the Mayo Clinic, has access to a lot of the expertise of the Mayo Clinic. Those are the kinds of aspirations that we have. You have here in Pikeville Community Trust Bank, which is the largest financial institution based in Kentucky, right here in this little town of 7,000 people. You have a university that is leading the way in Appalachia. So the city of Pikeville has a lot of activity. We've got a nice theater downtown. Over in Prestonburg, you've got the Jenny Wiley Theater. You've got an arena that has, it's not just the basketball court, it's an arena. And we have everything from tractor pulls to worldwide wrestling. But we do have a few concerts that you may be more interested in. So that's Pikeville. Now, Pike County is the largest geographic county in Kentucky and one of the largest in population. We're about 65,000. I served for 10 years as the chief executive, the elected official, what we call the county judge executive of Pike County. And it's a county that has its challenges. Pike County was a county that at one time had a population of 90,000 people. It was a coal center. At one time, the largest coal-producing county in the United States. Now, that was 30 or 40 years ago, and be blunt about it, the coal industry, we've mined our coal out. We started mining coal here in about 1905. This street right in front of you, the big, what we call the boulevard, used to be the railroad. And of course, you've already found out that the river used to run down this big horseshoe, and 30 years ago, we cut through the river and put the railroad out. And, but this was a coal town. And the coal industry is declining nationally, but here, we've just about mined the good coal. And so, over the last 5 years, we have lost 80% of our coal industry. And so when we talk about Appalachia, those are the things you're going to hear about. But, and we have problems, and we, the leadership of the region, we're deeply involved in rebuilding our economy based on something besides coal. I'm the chair of a group called One East Kentucky, whose job is to bring in other and more diverse industries. The University of Pikeville is intimately involved in that and other organizations. So when you see our motto, the leading university in Central Appalachia, we take that seriously. We have a responsibility to lead Appalachia. And you will find out that, unfortunately, Appalachia was built on manual labor. Let's be blunt about it. The first people that came into this region were subsistence farmers. And they pretty well, they didn't need much education. They pretty well took care of themselves. And then after the Civil War, Appalachian hardwoods became very valued around the world. And there was a wave of immigrants came in that cut these trees, cut them down with an axe, hauled them down to the river with a horse and put them in the river and floated them out to the Ohio River during the winter when the floods came. Another industry that needed large amounts of manual labor and not much education. And then coal. This railroad came here through here in 1905. Another industry, particularly before World War II, that was dependent upon lots of manual labor, not much education. So leading up to the time about the Second World War, we had a lot of manual labor and very few educational institutions. Now, this institution has been fighting that battle since 1889. Our job was to provide for the educational needs of the people of Central Appalachia. And as those things have, as that need has increased, we have evolved to where we are today. So, now still, in Appalachia, we have a significant population of undereducated people, and they're poor. But because they're poor, they don't because they're not well educated, they don't really understand that the lack of education is their problem. And it's our job to solve that problem. And the University of Pikeville has been and will continue to be at the very center of that. And now, as a member of our family, it's going to become a part of your responsibility. So, let me talk a little bit about the University of Pikeville. I've been involved here for 45 or 50 years. I'm pretty old, really, to be honest about it. And I've been on the board. I realized how important that this institution was to the region. I'm dedicated to the region. I've been very successful. I've been honored. I was in the coal business for 20 years. I was the county executive here for 10 years. I've led Kentucky's economic development programs as Secretary of the Economic Development Cabinet, and I was honored to be elected governor, lieutenant governor, and governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And I think that demonstrates that there are some great capable people in Appalachia. And so too many times it's the other side of Appalachia that gets national attention. So being from so many states away from here, and I would say even half of the people from Kentucky didn't really know what Pikeville was and what the University of Pikeville was. So you're gonna come into, well, you're up in Appalachia, golly, what are you doing up there? Well, let me tell you, you're up here to solve the problem. You're going to come out of here a high-class optometrist. But as Dr. BUZZELLI said, there's other colleges of optometry where you could probably learn to be a pretty good optometrist. But our challenge is greater than that. It is not to just treat the problem, it is to help solve the problems. And so I want you to start thinking in those terms. Not just treating the problem, but solving the problem. And that's what you're going to get the opportunity to do here. As you have seen, the Kentucky College of Optometry has the best facility of all of the 22 colleges around the country. I say every one of you have probably visited at least one, two, or three of the other College of Optometry. I've visited some myself. And I say without any reservation that we've got the best facility. That's not debatable. And if you haven't already learned, you're going to learn that we have the latest technology. The latest. I understand there's technology here that's only available in about 5 or 6 other medical schools, and we're the only College of Optometry that has that technology. So the Board of Trustees realized the problems and has made a commitment through this college to try to solve the problem, as has been our mission for the last 127 years, and that's to be the best in the nation. It is our goal that 10 years from now, the Kentucky College of Optometry will be known as the Mayo Clinic of Optometry. And it's your challenge to make that happen. The board has made available the best facility, the best technology. Kentucky has the most advanced scope of practice. You can learn things here that I believe will be the future of optometry nationwide. Most of you, when you finish here, you'll go back somewhere else. And it will be your responsibility to provide the leadership in your community, in your state, to get these advanced practices that Kentucky allows and that you have learned and make them available to all the people of your state. So leadership is very important. Leadership is essential to get things done. So we have the buildings and the scope of practice. Now we've got to produce the results. You've seen the faculty is an international faculty. Dr. BUZZELLI and his people have looked for the best because they know the challenge that's going to be in front of us. And we have to have the best. And it's here. So now what does that leave? That leaves the students. And so, you know, we can brag all we want to, but in about 4 years, you're going to be taking national boards. Now, that ain't going to be us bragging. That's going to be you performing. And that last chink of the armor that we need to do to establish that reputation that I talk about is your score on those boards. And so these first 4 classes are going to be key. And so what I want to challenge you to do is to become mission-oriented. Not just studying hard to get a skill, to make a good living, and that's part of it. That's your first responsibility, make a living for your family. And we're going to help you do that. But we want you to adopt a second responsibility to try to help solve the problems. As Dr. BUZZELLI said, you're right in the center of the problem, and that's Appalachia. For a lot of reasons, we've got health problems. That's the reason we established the medical school, to help solve that problem. Because that medical school, this area is no longer medically underserved, but it is optometry underserved now, but we're going to solve that problem. Because you are going to be going out into these clinics and everything, you already know that, and you're going to see the problem. You're not only going to be deeply involved after 2 years of treating the problem, you're going to be able to start thinking about solving the many problems. You have many research experts on your faculty. It is our goal, after we get through this first 4 years and get that all worked out, to become the leading college of ocular research in the United States, and I guess, in fact, in the world. But it's important that you adopt that as a mission, so that you recognize that once you take those boards and establish that reputation that I think you're going to establish, that'll seal the deal. And so students who will be looking at optometry colleges in the future won't have to exercise just a faith of what our people have told you. They will have the proof that students in this college get the best optometry education in the world. So I'll quit preaching here just in a minute, but I get a little emotional about this stuff. So you saw those TV cameras back there. We here at the university are involved in operating a cable channel called Pike TV. It goes over into Virginia and West Virginia and 3 or 4 counties around here. It's got a pretty good sized audience. And so we're filming that, and we'll be, over the next month, we'll be playing this program over and over again, because it's not only important that you understand the responsibility that you have assumed, but the people around this region need to understand what the program is. So as you get involved, if you see something that is interesting and you want to do a little TV program on it, just check with me. I'm the chairman of that board too. So, you know, if you're out here somewhere and in the next 2 or 3 years you get a little more confident and you start seeing an issue that you want to publicize, get in touch with us, and that's what we want. The purpose of that station is to inform the people of this region about things that they need to know about. And the work that you're doing are things that they need to work about. You need to talk about solving this problem. My daughter Nikki was a brilliant young woman, and she, first year of school, after a while, we were driving along that old Pontiac, and she said, "Daddy, I can't see what the teacher puts on the blackboard. I have to get in the very front seat, and I still can't see it good." And we were driving to Big Station, and there was a great big old Betsy Ross sign down at the end of that. Well, there was another sign. And I said, "Well, what does that say?" "Well, I can't see it." "And what is this?" "I can't see it." Went out to a great big old billboard. I said, "What about that?" He said, "I can't see that." And I said, "We better get you to a doctor real quick." And we took her to an optometrist, and she has she has severe, whatever that nearsightedness or farsightedness is, but we solved that problem. Because of that experience, one of the things that I did as governor was to make sure that we examined children early. And so we have a program in Kentucky to examine children before they get into school. And there you will find out there are many vision problems. The earlier they're diagnosed, the more successfully they can be treated. And because of that experience as governor, I insisted that that be a part of our early childhood development programs. We also promoted the expanding scope of practice also. And because of that work, I've been recognized by the National Optometric Association as the Apollo Award or whatever that, but it's the outstanding private citizen supporter of optometry in the nation. And I'm very honored. It's one of the many honors that I've had that I'm very proud of, because I have been involved in improving people's life. And once you get the basic necessities taken care of, getting the feeling that you've improved somebody else's life is where the true joy of life comes in. And I think as you get involved in your career, you're going to understand that. I have no vision in my right eye. And if I had worked on it earlier and done a better job, I could have probably preserved it. But you can't do anything about that. But now we're working on my dry eyes. Now Eileen and the other people around here have been trying to figure out how to get me out of this dry eye thing. You know, we've helped, but we haven't solved the problem. So now your first job is to find a cure for dry eyes. So you've got your marching orders right there. And just remember that you're at a place that expects excellence. You see my rings? You know, guys need a little bling just like you ladies do. Well, this was the University of Pikeville's national championship in AIA basketball. We were the best in our league nationally. This is the women's bowling team, national championship. We've won 4 of them. One of the premier women and men's bowling programs in the nation. Our football team, conference championship. Our challenge is excellence, to be the best. And you were picked to be a part of that, so the ball's in your court. Look forward to working with you the next 4 years.
Welcome to the University of Pikeville. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Good. All that theater training as a child, I guess, paid off. I have a really big mouth and a loud voice, so it carries well. Great to see you all here, second class. Unfortunately, you're not in class of 2020. I apologize for that, because that's, you know, just kind of classic. But 2021, you might say, is just a little better. I know, optometry joke's really bad, right? Although it's probably 2019, isn't it? Yeah, it's backwards, yeah. So it is, it's good to see you. It's good to have you all here. You are in the most modern and largest building in Central Appalachia. This is going to be your home for the next 4 years. We want you to move in. We want you to inhabit. We want you to have a great time in this space. And at the same time, learn an awful lot about optometry. We want you to grow here so that you can go out and take care of all of those wonderful people who just can't see, and for a variety of reasons. You know, some of them maybe just can't see because they need to have lenses placed in front of their eyes that will help them to focus a little better. I was one of those kids. I was the kid in 3rd grade, and 3rd grade is that time when you're really starting to master reading, where I was having a hard time seeing what the teacher wrote on the board, and so I was starting to fall behind as a student. And the teacher noticed that sitting toward the back of the class, I was doing this all the time, just squinting, and so she sent a note home with me to my mom and dad, said, you might want to go get this guy's eyes checked. We hadn't thought about it, it wasn't really a big deal, and so my mother and father found the local optometrist, whose name, ironically, was Dr. Sniff. Not kidding. Dr. Sniff took a look at my eyes and he said, you need glasses. And so I went really, in the matter of about 3 or 4 weeks, from a child who was struggling to learn to read to a kid who moved to the top of the class, and by 4th grade was placed in the advanced reading and the advanced mathematics classes. And it was all because of that eye doctor who stepped in at the right moment and gave me the tools that I needed to become a better student. You'll have that opportunity, folks. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Sometimes you'll deal with patients who are in their mid-50s, who've been struggling to see, not because they have a problem with focusing, but because there's a difficulty taking place in their retina. You're going to deal with that. You're going to learn to understand the impact that diabetes has on the eye. And that's a good thing too. So you'll get out there and you'll do great things, and we will be proud of you as alumni. But until then, you're students. Until then, you represent the University of Pikeville wherever you go. This is a wonderful town. It's a safe town. It's a great place for you to live and work and to have a wonderful life for the next few years. We hope that you inhabit this place. If you haven't discovered yet, there are some concerts that take place every week in downtown. You can go down and enjoy those for free. There are other concerts that happen over in the Expo Center. We've got a wonderful theater in town if you want to see plays or musicals. And by the way, those aren't just local people in the theater. We actually hire actors from New York and from Los Angeles, and they come in and you can see some really fine productions that take place right there. I know you won't have tons of time to do that, but you will have a little time in between your block exams to get in things like that. So please inhabit the town, inhabit the city, and enjoy your time, okay? Remember that you do represent the University of Pikeville. So when you do get in trouble out there, you do represent the University of Pikeville. Keep that in mind, and always try to live up to that high code, okay? All right, so I don't know if I've got anything else to say. If you want to know a little about me, I guess I can answer some questions, so I'll take a few questions if you've got them. I'm a good teacher, I know how to wait. Yeah, go ahead.
Where are you originally from?
Well, I grew up in the state of Michigan, but I'm actually a boomerang kid in Appalachia. So my grandparents were from McGoffin County, which is just that way. My grandmother is the great-great-granddaughter of Sam Salyer from Salyersville. And so all of the Salyers and all of the Allens and all of their extended family, those are all my people, and they live right over there. But my parents met in Indiana. My grandmother's husband passed away. She immigrated out for a while. And so they moved to Michigan, settled there. I grew up on the mission field in Taiwan. My mom and dad were missionaries for the Free Methodist Church for several years, and so I lived there. Moved back to Michigan and finished my high school at a tiny high school, New Lothrop High School. I had 11 people in my graduating class. When my admissions counselor in college said, well, we have a scholarship if you were in the top 10%, I said, buddy, I was the top 10%. That's what he said. So it was really a great experience. Then I went to college at Olivet Nazarene University, which is just south of Chicago. Good school, liberal arts college. Master's degree from Ball State University, PhD in medical immunology, so I do speak your language. And if there are times I need to drop in and substitute for certain lectures, I actually have the ability to do that. Taught in a medical school for 14 years, taught in a liberal arts institution for 16 years, and then was chief academic officer for a while at a university in Idaho before coming here. So this is finishing my second year right now, and it's a really great place. We love it here. My wife and I live just over the hill, where we can see into that window right there. So it's a great place to live. If you get barked at by my dogs, 2 Australian Shepherds, they are friendly. The big one is especially friendly. He would rather lick you than do anything else. The little one tends to run around and just kind of bark. She's friendly, but she's cautious. So you're welcome to say hello to them. They're out running up and down the hill sometimes. You're welcome to do that. And I don't think either of them has ever bitten anyone. So just give it a try. Just be nice to them, and you'll be fine. All right? Answer your question? All right. Anyone else? Hey, wait, there was one over there. We'll go with her first.
What made you want to go into this field?
What made me want to go into the presidency field or the medical immunology field?
Both.
Okay. Medical immunology for me happened when I was probably a junior in college. My major professor was a gentleman by the name of Rick Colling, and Rick was an immunologist. Now remember, I was in college in the dark ages, so I graduated in 1987. That's about the time many of you were born, probably. And that's about the time that I graduated from college. And for those of you who were around back then, what was happening in the 80s in immunology? Does anybody know? HIV/AIDS, right? HIV/AIDS had really just been identified in the early 1980s. And so by the mid-1980s, we were just really beginning to understand a little bit about it. That was what I like to call the golden era of immunology, because if you could put HIV in your grant proposal to NIH, HIV, NIH, you got MONEY. So we did, and I didn't work on HIV as a project. I actually did stem cell research way before it was cool. So anyway, that was my area, and I really loved it. I got pulled into it because of research, and research was just a lot of fun. But then midway through my doctoral program, I knew that I didn't want to go to a big R01 institution and spend my life in the laboratory. I really liked interacting with students. So I decided to move more toward the academic side of the house and teaching. Ending up here is, I don't know, a lot of presidents I think would tell you that it's just an accident that happens to you. And it's kind of a strange story. I was a young college professor, researcher by training, so I had a lot of experience doing research sorts of things. And somebody asked me to do a study to help balance the salary structure out for the university. So we'll point you toward the data, you do the study, put it together, and present it to the board. So I did that. I did it pretty well. Everybody got raises. Everybody was happy. And then somebody said, you know, you did that well, why don't you be the department chair for the biology department? Okay, I can do that. So I took on a department that had about 150 students and about 10 faculty members and managed that for a couple of years. And then somebody said, you know, you make a really good division chair, why don't you take over that? Okay, I did that. So I had, you know, 300 or 400 students and about 30 faculty members. And somebody said, you'd be a really good dean. Why don't you do that? I never interviewed for any of these jobs. It was just, you do that really well. And so I stepped up into the dean's role for a while. And, oh, yeah, you make a really good provost. Why don't you? Okay, you know, sure, I can do that. And so it just kind of happens to you along the way. You pick up the skills that you need to continue to move forward in your career. And I say that to a bunch of folks who are going into, you know, what you might think of right now as a kind of monolithic career, right? You're training to be something, you go into your clinic, you run with your 6 offices and your staff, and you do that every day for the rest of your lives. But I guarantee that some of you will not take that path. Some of you will take the path toward academic medicine. Some of you will take the path toward management or administration. Some of you may end up even being entrepreneurs and running one of the large vision companies. That degree that you're pursuing is a ticket that you punch. What you do with that degree is entirely up to you. Right? So you can continue to pursue other things. So that tells you where I'm from, kind of where the path that got me here, and then also kind of where I'm at now. Now, Kay and I love it here. We don't have any plans to go anywhere in the near or distant future. It's home. It's just where we are. So I'm not planning on leaving anytime soon. But I work for a board, and like all presidents everywhere, you know, tomorrow could be my last day. You just never know. So not planning on that. Working hard to not let that happen. But it's just the reality of the job. Back to you.
If you could offer us one piece of advice for success, what would you give us?
It's probably something you already know, and that is make sure that you read the material in advance of class. Sometime around my junior year of college, junior year was a big year for me. Sometime around my junior year, I figured out that if you use a process of continuous review, then you don't have to cram for exams, and exams become a lot more simple. Now, up until now, some of you are really good at cramming. Some of you have been able to postpone study until a day or two before, and then you drop in, you pick it up really fast, and you go. And I'll be honest, I can do that too, okay? But the problem with that is it doesn't retain in long-term memory very well, and so when you sit down to study for the boards in 3 years, you're gonna be going, oh crap, what was a T4 cell? I can't remember that. And you gotta go back and relearn because you crammed it into short term. So what I learned was, if you start with the beginning material, and you come home after class that first night, you review that material for the next class, then the next class you go back and review the first 2, you can spend shorter amounts of time on the older material because it becomes more familiar. You just set up this process of continual review where you're always going back about 2 weeks, and reviewing things as you go through, and then every once in a while, like after a block exam, take a day, rest, do what you need to do, but then come back, go all the way back to the beginning and review quickly. Just keep it in your mind. And what I discovered was that, for me at least, it builds what I call the map that exists inside my head. So sometimes when you ask me a question, if we're ever in immunology class, you ask me a question and I kind of go like this for a minute, it's not that I'm distracted. I'm actually looking at the map. I have a map in my head of all of biology, geology, chemistry, biochemistry, paleontology, and everything really that I've ever learned. And for me, it's all picture. And so when I sit in a new lecture and I listen to new material, I absorb new material, all I'm doing is modifying the picture. And so it's easy to go back and to pick it back up. But that's continual review. So if you can manage that, if you can figure out how to make that work for you, then you'll be able to do what I did in my senior year, which was prank all the people who were studying during finals week, because I didn't have to. So anyway, that's really the best advice. Just stay after it, and you'll figure out the way.
Great advice.
Yes.
So these folks are embarking on a marathon, and it's going to take daily motivation. So what are some things that motivate you? You've obviously dealt with tons of information in the long term. So what motivates you? How do you stay motivated, Dr. Wells?
You know, it probably varies a little bit depending on the circumstance. But for me, And probably for most people, it's really all about the narrative that you experience or the narrative that you see. So for me, when I would get unmotivated as a graduate student, I lived and worked in the basement of a hospital called Riley Hospital for Children. It's in Indianapolis, great children's hospital. If I was feeling demotivated about the work that I was doing, all I had to do was walk up 2 floors and walk through the leukemia clinic. Because what I was working on was a way to use umbilical cord blood as a source for transplantable stem cells for kids with leukemia. Now I did a teeny tiny little piece of that project. Hal Broxmeyer was the mastermind behind that project. And for those of you who've had kids, you know that you can actually save the cord blood. It's one of the things that's become fairly common. Back then it was brand spanking new. All I had to do was walk upstairs and walk through those clinics. And for me it motivated me because I saw the stories. I saw the children who were suffering with a disease that we thought we might have a cure for. And now, 30 years on, we do. We use that same technology that we were a small part of, and it's cured thousands and thousands of kids. So it's that tiny little narrative. So what you're going to see when you go out with Dr. Oweya into the schools to do clinics are kids who were screened in kindergarten, they're going to come back in 2nd grade, and they haven't been screened since, and you're going to see them have a hard time seeing the board. It's the same story that I have. And I'll tell you, if correcting that vision so that those kids can lead a successful life doesn't motivate you, drop out now. Drop out now. Because what you are here to do is to care for people who need you because they need to see. Keep the end goal in mind. Where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? What part do you want in this wonderful thing we call health? Forget about the money, forget about the hours, forget about the sacrifice, and focus on the people for whom you will care. Because at the end of the day, that's what motivates you. And I know some of you. I know some of you want to go overseas. I mean, you want to care for people who live and work there. Some of you want to serve in Central Appalachia. There may even be a kid here from Owsley County, the blindest county in the United States of America, which is that direction, 2 counties. You want to take care of those people? They will thank you forever. And you will live a life that's fulfilled. So what motivates you? Find the story. Find the story that you can live. Other questions? Okay, oh, there's one right there.
How do you like your coffee?
You know, it's actually all right. You mean this cup right here, or how do I drink it?
How do you drink it?
Black. Yeah, I like coffee. I had a friend in graduate school who was from Ghana, and he would say, "Oh, coffee, juice of the gods." He would say, he was older than me, he would say, "Young man, if the spoon does not stand in the coffee, it is not coffee. It is tea." And he would drink it black, and so he got me hooked on, well, we put a pot on and then we'd wait for it to distill a little while. Yeah, he did that. My best coffee story ever is I was working in the laboratory in the basement of Riley. We had a transplant lab that had probably 25 or 30 employees, and they depended on coffee because they were there, all the time. So for some strange reason, they put me, a graduate student, in charge of procuring the coffee. And so over the course of a month, I decaffeinated it. It was great. I just kept mixing the coffee so it had more and more decaf. I took them down to decaffeinated coffee. We had a lab meeting. I said, "Well, I've got an announcement today. You're all off of caffeine. You're not hooked anymore." And what? They started swearing at me. I've been drinking so much coffee, it wasn't happening. Needless to say, I got fired for procuring the coffee, which wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a great job anyway. Anyway, black, thick, coffee should have texture. That's what I learned from Ken. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes? Yes, you may. If you get really stressed, all you need to do is call my wife. Her name is Kay. She's actually a professor, part-time professor here. She teaches part of the leadership course that you'll take. And if you call her up and say, "I need a little dog therapy," just come on over. Indy will be happy to play with you. You'll have to sit very quietly so that Raven can come and make friends with you. She's cautious around new people. Guys, sorry, especially the guys with beards, you're all out. I'm just sorry, that's just the way it is. Guys will take, sad, right? Guys will take a while. Sometimes she'll warm up to guys, but ladies she warms up to quicker. The thing with Raven is if you move toward her, she's going to run away. But if you sit still, she'll eventually come over to you. But Indy will be in your lap pretty quickly. He's very, very friendly. He likes to meet new people. And actually, I think you're all coming over tonight, right, to the house? He's not home right now. He's actually with my wife up in Michigan. But often we let him out. And what he would be doing while I'm talking right now would be patrolling the perimeter to make sure that no one leaves. Because he's an Australian Shepherd, and that's what they do. And if I say go by, he's going to do it this way, clockwise. And if I say away, he's going to do it this way, counterclockwise, because I trained him. And if one of you tries to break away, I can say, bring him back, and he'll bring you back. If one of you's acting unruly, I can tell him to cut you out, and he'll cut you out. And he'll push you off to the side and hold you in a corner someplace. Well, he's not quite that good, but he's a very friendly dog, and we were working on it to get him there. So yes, you can come and say hello to the dogs. They are a lot of fun, and yeah, you're welcome to do that. And honestly, if anybody wants to walk them, they need to be walked all the time. So all the time, just 2 in the morning, just come pick them up and take them. Okay, maybe not 2 in the morning, but I'm up by 5. So. Yes.
Dr. Webb, can you talk a little bit about leadership and the importance of being involved to build their portfolio, to build their brand, to build their ideas?
So this is something that you're going to hear me lecture on a lot later, so I'm not going to give away the whole lecture at the moment, because otherwise you'd be bored in that 2 hours that I have here. So the question is about leadership. Did y'all hear it over there? Talking about the value, the importance of leadership. And really, when you're young, it's all about taking on opportunities when they come your way. So if you have the opportunity to join an optometry club like the Lions Club, or what are some of the others that we have? Eric, what are some of the other clubs we got?
Well, we'll be having a chapter of FCO, which will be starting up. We have the AOSA, there's NOSA, Bosch, so there's a lot of different opportunities to be involved.
So you take the opportunity to join first, and probably in your first year you're not going to have much more of a position than joining. Learning how to be a good follower is part of learning how to be a good leader, so you need to join in. And then as opportunities come, just step forward and volunteer for them. And at first, you might think, well, this is not really a very big deal. Why should I spend my time doing this? But if your hope is to become a leader and to be noticed as a leader later on, you have to start to volunteer for the little things. No one wanted to do the salary study that I talked to you about, right? I didn't volunteer for it, but when someone said to me, you're pretty good with data, would you do this? Well, yeah, sure, I'm happy to do that. I can take that on. So it's those little kinds of things that you get when you may be interacting with or supervising 1 or 2 people. There's a project, you're doing some kind of a benefit or a party or a fundraiser. Learn how to do that. Get involved, learn how to do it at the low level. But then, as time goes by and you reach 3rd year and 4th year, and then maybe you're out in residency or practice somewhere, you're going to be asked to do larger things. You're going to be asked to take on larger projects, where you take a group of 10 optometrists and you go to a country like Haiti and you serve people there, but you're the leader. You coordinate those things. So you'll take those things on, and as you do those successfully, then your name will begin to spread and people will say, they might be a really good person to lead the Kentucky Optometric Association. Does that make sense? So as time goes by, that's how leadership sort of builds, and you get involved in that process. But it all starts with engagement. It all starts with that engagement that's happening now. Happened in your undergrad, probably. Some of you were involved a lot in undergrad. Continue to be involved. Don't do it at, to the level that it harms your coursework, but be involved to the level that you can. And part of learning who you are is learning what you can manage, right? So it's how much can you handle and still be successful at what you do. And if you find yourself in a place where your grades are slipping because of your involvement, then back off your involvement. All right? Because right now, this is the phase in your life where your studies are more important, okay? Life's all about phases, it's all about time. We all change over time, we all do different things, okay? If I were your age now and someone asked me to be the president of the college, I would not be ready. I could not do this job when I was in my mid-20s. I mean, even if I had been arrogant enough to think that I could do the job, there's just no way. I didn't have the interpersonal skills, I didn't have the communication ability, I didn't have all of the things that now in my 50s I have. So it's just taken a lot of time. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Okay, good.
I got a question.
Yes.
Personally, for you as a leader, what attributes do you strive to work on? Like, is there, I don't know, do you have a list of what you think makes up a good leader as far as attributes are concerned?
Yeah, I do. And some of the list, some of them are things that I've worked on for a long time, so they're natural now. I don't really have to think about them. Top of my list always is integrity. And I define integrity in a pretty blatant way that maybe some people don't like. Integrity is what you do when no one's watching. All right? So you can stand in front of somebody and talk and be really good. I know a lot of leaders who are eloquent speakers and they can talk and they do all these kinds of things. And they leave and they go and cheat on their taxes. Or they leave and they go and cheat on their spouse. Or they lie, or they don't have honesty. They don't have that layer of integrity. For me, that's the absolute most important thing. So when you're looking for a leader, that's the first and most important question that I ask. You know, is this a person of integrity in their lives when no one is watching? Then we see what takes place when people are watching. So integrity is first. I think the ability to form and create relationships is probably second, and then maintain those relationships. I think a person who is humble is a really important thing for me. Making sure that it's not all about them, because I think that leaders for whom it is all about them will fall eventually. Leaders who are really only there to serve the people around them are the ones who will succeed in the long run. You can force your way through in the short run, but if you want to have staying power and be around the long run, I think it needs to be about the people around you and not about yourself. So those things I think are really important. The higher you, this is a fascinating thing. The higher you go in leadership, the less power you have. Right? When I was leading, just a really small department, I could set policy and I could tell them, this is what we will do. And they would say, okay, great, let's do that. When you rise in leadership, what you find is that the power that you have is the ability to influence other people to build consensus and then move forward as a group. So the ability to do that is probably something that I'm still really interested in and really still working on. And how do we do that? How do we do that with people who have very divergent views, who want to do very different things, and how do we get them together moving in the same direction? Get them excited about the narrative, which we talked about, and moving forward as an institution, moving forward as individuals, departments, colleges, schools. I think that's where I'm at. Answer your question? Good. Going up. All right, so I'm going to end with a story, because as Andy knows, I can't not end with a story, right? That's right, So this morning at about 6 a.m., I was down on the practice field with the football team, and I'm limping just a little bit because I got a Charlie horse in my right hamstring doing sprints. Now that doesn't feel very good. But I told him a story about my dad, and I think it's a story that's applicable here, so I'm going to tell it here too. My father was a runner, and he doesn't look anything like me. I look like my uncle. My uncle's tall, my uncle has kind of wild hair, and that's just who I look like. My dad was this big. Weighed 135 pounds his whole life, but he could run like the wind. Finished 18 marathons, qualified for Boston 5 times, usually won his age division, and for about 25 years was ranked in the top 3 in the state of Michigan. He was an athlete. When he was in college, he ran for a school that, like the University of Pikeville, was an NAIA school. And during his sophomore year, he qualified to run in the national championship for cross country. Now that's a 5-mile race, and the race that they were running was up in New York, so the terrain was kind of hilly. It was up out in the western part of New York. And they got a chance to go out and tour the course before they had to run it the next day for the meet. So they're out jogging the course, and it was on a ski resort. And so the last half mile of the course was uphill, and the finish line was at the top. They had to run this course 3 times. And as they were running it, my dad said to himself, if I have a chance to win this, and I have anyone in front of me on the hill, I will win this race. So they ran it once, he was in the top 5. They ran it the second time and came around, he was in the top 3. As they came around the last time on the course, they hit the bottom of the hill, and he had 2 guys in front of him. They weren't very far in front of him, but they were in front of him. And that's when my dad decided to attack the hill. And he took off up that hill at a dead sprint. And he passed those guys so fast that I would hear the story later, they were completely demoralized because he had so much left. Now my dad had nothing left, but he knew that he had to attack the hill. So here we sit on a hill. At the top of this hill is the degree that you're pursuing. Attack the hill.
I chose Pikeville, Kentucky because I want to help people that are underserved and expand the healthcare here.
With Kentucky's amazing laser laws, this is one of the things that brought me out here. Plus, I like the small town environment. Some of the other colleges are in a little bit of a bigger town, and the small town environment is very appealing to me and my family.
There's just something about the mission statement, and it really correlated a lot with what my dad does back at home. We live on the west side of Oahu, which is very poverty-stricken, and so it had a lot of elements that were really similar to Pikeville. And once I met the people, it reminded me a lot of home and that family atmosphere that I know I probably miss a lot.
My entire family came from medicine. My mom's a nurse, and she always helped a lot of people. So after following her and following my aunt, I expanded into optometry, mostly because of my sister. She struggled with stigmatism in her early education, and that kind of changed her life and changed ours.
Well, I've been working in optometry all my life. I've been in the business for 17 years. My dad was an optometrist. I've managed private practice. It's pretty much the only career I've been involved in, and there's only one way up. It's to become a doctor.
I just really found that of all the ways you could affect people and like being an impact in their lives, vision is like probably the ultimate thing that you could. I mean, you can replace your teeth, you can't replace your eyes.
Well, I look forward to serving this region. The Appalachian region obviously has a lot of needs. Being the blindest region in the country, I hope that we can reach out to that community and really serve them and really improve their needs.
It's about the people that we serve. It's not about money. It shouldn't be about money. And it should be that, you know, if I have a patient in my office that says that they have something on their eye, you know, they can't get to see an ophthalmologist for 6 months, you know, it's hindering their sight, they can't drive, that I should be able to go, you know what, I can take care of that for you right now. And, you know, it's for the betterment of their life, not, you know, who can do what.